Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. As you see, Ukraine gains more ground every day, Kursk Oblast. The Ukrainian armed forces propelled towards Sheptuhovka village, plus they had the successful strike in this part, so potentially Ukraine might reach this very important highway, which leads to the Kursk nuclear power plant. By the way guys, there are some of the nuclear threats from the Russian Federation. We're gonna speak about those later in this video. What we know that Ukraine captures more and more Russian soldiers. Just look at those boys. Those are definitely boys. They look very young because those are the Russian conscripts. Those are just 18 years old and Russia used those to control the border with the Ukraine. It's just crazy. Moreover, Russia sends more of those young men to fight against the Ukrainian army. I would call them some sort of the Putin Union. So Putin is really out of the army, man. That's why he's basically sending those boys to fight. Well, the conscription service in the Russian army is compulsory, so those guys are not volunteers. And luckily for them at first personally, they surrendered to Ukrainian forces and now they have pretty much good hospitality and food somewhere in Ukrainian prison barracks, and soon they're gonna be exchanged for Ukrainian soldiers. But some of them were not so lucky. For example, this guy's name is Daniil Rubtsov. He was the Russian conscript, but he decided to fight against the Ukrainian army. Because of that, he was just zeroed by our guys. Yes guys, the war is just terrible, but my duty is to get you informed. So sometimes you ask me, where do I have the information from? Let me tell you about it. Let's check out the ground news. I use this website and application daily. It combines the news from all around the world and we may combine the coverage to verify the information. For example, here we may see that Ukraine captures hundreds of Russian prisoners as shock advance continues. Definitely it is true. Every day Ukraine captures more and more Russian soldiers, including conscripts and even TikTok Ahmat battalion. There is the wide coverage of the news. 111 articles were published about this topic because really it's outstanding. On the second year of Putin's so-called special military operation, Ukraine decided to start its own. To subscribe for the ground news, please use my personal link. It's ground.news/Dennis. As for me, the ground news platform is the must-have option if you are interested about the situation worldwide. There is the factuality report and definitely the news are based on the high facts because Ukraine presents the evidence that it captures the Russian soldiers. Lower you may click on the map and see the news origin. For example, Kyiv Post, this is the Ukrainian media. Let's click on it. Well, here they actually say about the Ukrainian offensive in general and that Russia still struggles to organize the proper defense of Kursk region. From Russia we have the report from the opposition source Meduza, and let's check it out. And here they rely to the CNN article that Russia is transferring several thousands of the soldiers to the Kursk region, also partially from the Ukrainian front lines, mostly from Kherson. And they say that for now Ukraine controls 1,150 square kilometers. Well, it's according to the official reports from the Ukrainian command. Well, it's kind of interesting to read and compare all of the information from the different countries, especially from the countries who really fight against each other, and about the Russian propaganda media. Well, usually they don't share the information about their soldiers being captured by Ukraine. So in this case, we have to rely on the Russian opposition, as you see. But the ground news is not just about the war in Ukraine. No, there are lots of the information presented, relative topic, hot topics, everything is out there. I just use it for my purposes because my topic is the war in Ukraine, so ground news helps me a lot. So if you want to be updated with the current information coming, please subscribe for the ground news using my personal link. It is theground.news/Dennis, and by subscribing for the ground news platform, you also support the job that I do on YouTube. Because the ground news is the long-term sponsor of my channel. You know guys that I don't have lots of the sponsors and I only work with those companies whom I can trust and whose product is basically good, and I'm really proud to recommend you it. The ground news is not the big news corporation, no. They also rely on our support, our subscriptions. So subscribe for the ground news to be constantly updated on the situation in the world. Ground news, thank you for sponsoring this video. Alright guys, so let's go back to the map because we have two of the major updates. One in Kornevo because Ukraine moved towards the town. The fight is really heavy out there and Ukraine definitely took the part of the town under control. The second news that Ukraine moved towards Glushkova. Glushkova is the town where Ukraine recently kaputted one of the bridges. Very important by the way for the supplies. And the big news number 3, Russia is moving their forces out from all of this area. Yes, guys, they start to withdraw their forces, but initially we have the reports about it from the Russian Z military bloggers, so they may spread misinformation. I wouldn't call it the Russian propaganda, because then you say you retreat your forces. It's not propaganda at all. So maybe it's the truthful information that was shared widely from the Russian side. They say that they moved the forces out from the Totkina at first, partially, using the only existing bridge across the Seine River. Yes, this is called Seine River. And yes, Ukraine simultaneously started 2 of the major attacks towards Glushkova, knowing that Russia is probably withdrawing the forces from the southern region of the Kursk Oblast. According to the military analytics, the heavy battle is ongoing right near the Seine River and not far away already from Glushkova. Ukraine has already crossed the very important Russian defense line, as you may see, and it may strike without any obstacles. The only obstacle on the way are the Russian armed forces, but the resources of the Russian army are not enough to stop the Ukrainian advancement. There were also reports that Ukraine took Kornova town under control, but no, this information is not correct yet. The Russian side channels are even showing those kind of the maps saying that Russian forces had to retreat from the territories where there is the risk for them to be trapped. They said that this position is terrible for them because they could be attacked from many of the directions and they're basically jammed by the river. So the goodwill gesture from the Russian side has already been started. I should show it like this, because they have multiple of retreat vectors, haven't they? And you know, according to the recent Russian statements, Ukraine is clearing out Kornova. It means that Ukrainian forces are in this town and they're very successful because they're clearing it out. The Russian mill bloggers even say that the road to Rilsk is open. They give this map, but here is Rilsk, this is Kornova, the fight is heavy out there. And they warn about the possible encirclement of the Rilsk city because Ukraine might penetrate the border with Russia from the other direction and go to the same destination very fast. Well, in that case, all the Russian group in this area will be just out of the supplies. Most likely Rilsk will be taken from both sides, so we should expect another breakthrough of the border. Well, it is quite logical, but I wonder if Ukrainian army has enough resources for this big operation. For one more border penetration, I think Ukraine needs at least 4,000 of the troops, army personnel, which Ukraine used before entering the Kursk Oblast. The issue for us is that the information is mostly coming from the Russian mill bloggers and the information which they share is incorrect sometimes. But logically, with enough resources, it should work. Does the Russian command knows about this possible variant? Well, obviously, but sometimes they're quite incompetent. Well, it's better to say usually incompetent. Again, lots of the Russians are playing hide and seek, being delivered by Ukrainian transport to the safe places for them. Looks like this guy is even smiling because he understands that he is safe already in Ukrainian war prison. He understands that he will not be tortured by Ukraine, he'll be fitted with quite a good food, he'll sleep, yes, on a standard military bed, but it's much better than sleeping in the dirty trenches. So good choice for those guys to surrender. And again, the small part of the Ahmat battalion wasn't fast enough to leave the positions on their feet. So Kadyrov soldiers decided to surrender. It's also good for them and also good for Ukraine because it is the priority for Russia to exchange and to return Kadyrov soldiers. So Ukraine tries to negotiate with Russia the exchange of the Azov soldiers who stay in a Russian prison for a very, very long time, almost from the beginning of the war. Speaking about Ahmat, Kadyrov received his Tesla Cybertruck. Crazy. And he put the gun on the top. I wonder how he actually got this car because Russia is under sanctions. Well, he told that it's the gift from Elon Musk personally. What he also told that they're gonna send this car to the battlefield to test it. So Elon Musk is now the Russian military supplier from the United States of America. By the time Jake Bro collects funds for the trucks and pickups for Ukraine, Elon Musk sends his Tesla to Ahmat battalion. They modified his Tesla and they say openly that they're gonna use this car in a battlefield. failed. I think that in this case the United States officials, the United States government should start the investigation against Tesla company for supplying the military-grade equipment to the Russian side. And those vehicles are partially bulletproof. It also has the powerful engine. Well, in general the truck sucks for the price. But Kadyrov said that his forces may use this truck very effectively, so he will order more. Oh my god, look at this Mr. Cringe. Is it a cosplay for Assassin's Creed or something? But those bullets and on the top, he's just a clown. You'll not see the soldier wearing that stuff in the actual battle, so what he does here is just for the stupid video. But I think that this video could be used to sue Elon Musk personally. And also it shows the sad reality that with sanctions or without sanctions, but Russia might get what it needs. For example, even Tesla Cybertruck. Well, sanctions are actually working, but not as hard as they should. As usual, guys in my Telegram group start to share funny pictures. Total Mad Max in Russia. By the way, guys, you may also subscribe for my Telegram group. It's for free. It is located in the video description just below. This post is from Kadyrov himself. I know, guys, that you probably do not understand Russian, so let me translate the very important parts of the messages for you. We received the Tesla Cybertruck from the respected Elon Musk. So he respects him. Cybertruck will soon be sent to the zone of the special military operation. Many thanks to Elon Musk, he is genius. Elon, thank you. Come to Grozny, I will accept you as my dear guest. I don't think that Russian Foreign Ministry will be against your trip. And obviously we're waiting for your new inventions that will help us to finish the special military operation. So guys, what do you think? Please write your comment in the video description just below, because I have no comments. We definitely see it over here in this post. It is just crazy. Meanwhile, Ukrainian soldiers trophied one more Russian T-80 tank. It happened in the Kursk Oblast. You may see the Russian marking, but our guy already put the Ukrainian flag on the top, so this machine will serve in the Ukrainian armed forces. So Ukrainians might trophy the Cybertruck to Ukrainian army too. Well, actually, after all, I don't think that Kadyrov will send it directly to the front lines because it's kind of the expensive truck, but maybe they will film the truck for TikTok videos far behind the front lines. As usual, shooting the bushes from the gun on the top. Our Ukrainian artist Freonix already laughed about Kadyrov soldiers, so I highly recommend you to check out this video. I'll put it in the video description just below. You may watch it with the English subtitles. I really like his cartoon sketches and how he describes the situation in a funny manner. More from Ahmat battalion. We have the statement from their commander Davydov. He said that we have removed the enemy's desire to move further. Well, it means that probably Ukraine moves forward undesirably. I guess he's such a clown. Local civilians in Kursk Oblast are doing great, and they robbed their own shops because the managers and sellers left the place, so probably, yes, it's a good thing. The products in the shop would just expire, so they took everything there to eat. It's the wartime, and after all, it's their own products. Ukraine continued to tell them to evacuate to Ukrainian territory, or if they want to evacuate to the Russian-controlled territory further to Kursk or the other Russian regions if they have some of the relatives. Russia usually doesn't organize the evacuation of their own citizens. Yesterday evening, many of the Russian Z channels as well as the Russian official media started to say about the possible provocation of Ukraine in Zaporizhia nuclear power plant and in Kursk nuclear power plant. They again start to tell about so-called dirty bomb which Ukraine has already constructed and ready to use in the coming days or even hours. The same message was spread all around their media, but today I haven't heard anything like that from the Russian channels. It's kind of worrying because they try to manipulate. If Russia says that Ukraine is ready for provocation, it means that they're preparing it themselves. So I do not exclude that Russia might do something terrible. For example, with the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, they already burned some of the tires inside the cooling towers of the power station. Russians even came out with those kind of the images saying that it is the dirty bomb, but it's just a bullshit, you know? It's basically the standard practice of aggressor to accuse the victim. Kind of the interesting information comes from Germany. Bundeskanzler Scholz, together with the financial minister, decided to cease the help for Ukraine. I mean, the new help. Probably even including the military support. But there will be the military support of Ukraine from Germany, at least this year and the half of the next year. Because the agreements for that has already been achieved. The Ukrainian side has already commented on that issue. They say that we'll know the situation for sure in November. Well, in any case, Chancellor Scholz there is not for a long time. There will be elections in Germany next year in autumn. So in 1 year, yes, still a long time. But throughout the time, Germany will continue to support Ukraine because there are signed contracts with Ukraine already, and they're quite big. Germany is the second donor of Ukraine after the United States. So it is very important for Ukraine to keep that support, but I wouldn't speculate on that topic right now because we know just little. And you know what German officials already say, that they might use some of the frozen assets of the Russian Federation to continue supporting Ukraine. That will be the best option, because this year is not very profitable for the German economy, so obviously it's better to use the Russian money. Kind of the interesting article came out from the Washington Post. Guys, as usual, to find those articles, I used the ground news. Yes, you may still check it out in the video description. So here they say that there were some secret talks between Ukraine and Russia. The talks for the partial ceasefire, which could have been discussed in Qatar. But now the chances for those talks are quite low because Ukraine started its military operation in Kursk. This is what the article basically says. The partial ceasefire means the agreement to halt the strikes on civilian energy infrastructure, power plants, oil storages, basically buildings. Russians decided to support this partial ceasefire because they lose lots of the oil refineries and oil storages. But what I may say for sure that no agreements with Russia was the paper they put the signature on. There is no surprise about it with Russia, but Ukraine also struggles without power plants, so many of those were destroyed by the Russian Federation, mainly their cruise missiles, some of the drones and ballistic hypersonic missiles. Now to the other news, Russians show how they hit the M270 rocket artillery system somewhere in Sumy Oblast. Again, the Iskander was used for it, but there is the chance that it was a decoy because there is no secondary detonations from the missiles. As for example, it happened the last time that Russia hit the HIMARS rocket artillery system. There the HIMARS was really a real one, and unfortunately Ukraine lost it. And here Russia shows presumably the Ukrainian RST system, which was hit also by Iskander. However, at the same time there was also no secondary detonation, so could be decoy as well. However, in this video we may clearly see that it was the working Ukrainian air defense system, maybe S-300 or maybe even Patriot. Russia says that it was the Patriot system which was finally hit by their Iskander cluster munition warhead. Guys, you already know that this channel is pro-Ukrainian, but I don't want to spread the bias from the single side that everything is good, hooray, Ukraine is winning. No, it's not happening like that. It's a war with losses. And my duty is to present you the full picture as it is, for you to know the truth. About the yesterday's strike on Dnipro military airfield, yes, definitely Ukrainian Air Force confirmed the loss of the jet, but it wasn't Sukhoi 24 as Russia says, it actually was MiG-29. No personnel was hurt by the time on the apron. Ukraine tries to handle the biggest threat for its army, I mean the surveillance drones, using the FPV drones. This strike was successful. But there are many other Russian surveillance drones flying behind the front lines. Unfortunately, the range of those Orlan drones is more than 150 kilometers, according to the recent statistics, and also Russia changed the operation of those drones. So basically there is the unit which operates the drone and Iskander missile which operates the ballistic missile, but a single officer, you may call him commander, controls the operation of both of those. It was done by Russia to minimize their reaction, so if they see something like Ukrainian air defense system, HIMARS, whatever, the fire command goes to Iskander immediately. That's why the system is very effective from the Russian side, even more effective compared to their gliding bombs because the system here is more precise. But we know that Russia also lost their airplane, strategic bomber Tu-22M3, and here we even have the registration number, Romeo Fox 94238. As you see by the number, it's the particular airplane on the exhibition. Definitely it is the M3 modification, the most capable one, but somehow it just crashed on its own. And this loss is significant for the Russian army because they cannot produce those airplanes any longer. They all were made in Soviet Union, so factories do not exist any longer for those airplane types, but what Russia might do is to modernize those airplanes. And now let me update you with the recent situation in Ukrainian front line. So the main attack vector of the Russian Federation Pakrovsk direction was yesterday, it is today. Russia hesitates for now to go closer to Pokrovsk. They wanted first to expand this bridgehead to minimize the risk of their further movement. If you check out the area on the 3D map, you may see the higher ground which Ukraine still takes. So here are some of the terracons, we call them, and also this elevation near the river. And I know that there are Ukrainian defense lines, so for Russia it's very hard to move ahead. That's why they start to move sideways, trying to find the weak spot in Ukrainian defense. Well, hopefully they will not be able to reach Mirnograd and Pokrovsk. Those settlements are very, very close to the actual battle zone. As you may see, there are some of the rivers in addition to the high terrain which Ukraine still keeps, so the defense will be significant and Russia will lose many of the forces in this region. And Russia also expands a little in Torets, so they moved forward just a little, taking this cemetery under control yesterday and today. But compared to Ukraine, Russia moves very slowly because they face tremendous defense from the Ukrainian side. Well, anyways, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And don't forget also to check the link for the Ground News, the sponsor of my channel. I'm really proud to have the integration with this news service. They help me a lot for my videos and they will help you to stay tuned on the world events. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.